The meeting to order. Could we have adoption of the agenda, please?
So moved.
Is there a seconder?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. The next, we will pause to seek guidance. Okay. Now we'll have the reading of the mission statement. To provide, promote, or facilitate municipal services that meet the community needs while preserving, supporting, and enhancing quality of life for all. The next, we have a presentation by Judy Rayfuse, Executive Director, Annapolis Valley Chamber of Commerce. Could we have someone move so she come forward?
So moved.
Is there a seconder?
So moved. Or seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Could Judy Rayfuse come forward? Judy, if you'd like to go right over to the...
Thank you. There's actually three of us tonight. I am Judy Rayfuse. I'm the Executive Director of the Annapolis Valley Chamber of Commerce. And Warden, Councillors, thank you very much for giving us some time to present. If you will recall, we were here last year with our tourism marketing plan and what we had hoped to do. We are here tonight to tell you what we have done and bring you some of the exciting results of our work. And first of all, I'll just remind you that the Annapolis Valley Chamber of Commerce represents 370 businesses in all of Kings County and the eastern half of Annapolis County. We have, last year when we went into this project, we spoke to all of the chambers and boards of trades from Windsor to Digby, so everyone was aware of what we were doing, and we have their moral support as well. So to give the review of our activities and share our great news, I'm going to introduce first these are our co-chairs of our tourism committee, our tourism marketing committee, Heather Lehman and Loretta Buchanan, and Heather's going to go over our plan from last year.
Thank you, Warden and Councillors, for your time this evening. My name is Heather Lehman, and I own and operate the Tatting Stone Inn in Wolfville. I also co-chair the Tourism Committee and the Marketing Committee for the Annapolis Valley Chamber of Commerce. The Annapolis Valley Chamber of Commerce Tourism and Marketing Committee had made presentations last year to all the municipalities from West Hants to Digby in order to obtain funding to put through a marketing plan for our region, something that had never been done before. The County of Kings provided $20,000 in funding for this project through their MEDF fund. The province, through the Nova Scotia Tourism Agency, then followed with $100,000. $50,000 was received from the Southwest Nova Tourism Task Team, and $1,000 was given from the town of Annapolis Royal. All monies received went toward marketing and website. There were no administration fees paid out, as we are a 100% volunteer committee. This amount of money would not totally cover our original marketing plan. However, in moving forward, it was decided to go with the medium that could give us the highest market saturation. A TV campaign with CTV giving us a wide maritime reach was launched in early June with the first 3 commercials representing the different areas of our region. Through our CTV ad campaign, we were able to leverage 4 CTV morning live visits where the region was profiled from Windsor to Digby. And I don't know if you caught it, but we did Briar Island and Digby Neck with the whale watching tours as well. A radio campaign was done reaching out to Halifax region with contests providing prizes from the Annapolis Valley businesses, continuing to reach out for a maximum saturation in the market. A 2-page spread in the Chronicle Herald in partnership with the Nova Scotia Tourism Agency for their All in a Day's Drive campaign was purchased. All of our marketing was prepared in partnership with the Nova Scotia Tourism Agency to ensure alignment with the provincial strategy. We also partnered with Kings County on the design of the ad placed in the onboard magazine for the Nova Star Ferry between Yarmouth and Portland. Members of our committee hosted a travel writer from SOAR magazine, available at the Halifax airport with a circulation of 70,000. The article appeared in the June issue and certainly emphasized tourism for Kings County. In partnership with the NSTA, we assisted in planning the itinerary for a group of media writers from across the globe. Their itinerary included stops throughout the Annapolis Valley that allowed them to experience our area, our food, our wine, and our culture. We have been able to realize regional cooperation with other tourism groups throughout the valley and look forward to working with them more in the future. In the coming years, we will be involved in the committee making plans around the celebrations of Canada's anniversary in 2017. So what has all this meant? The television campaign began its run on June 4th. Our overnight sold for June were up 1% in the Annapolis Valley region. This was the first increase that had been seen in more than 5 years. Our website, valleytourism.ca, saw visits grow by 100 a day through the month of June. And in July, we were asked by the NSTA to make sure that there was a link from valleytourism.ca to novascotia.com, something that we were told in the beginning that would never be allowed. July saw our figures jump to 6%, and while August remained flat, this is expected as the saturation point had been reached. Properties were already full. With September, we took a huge jump in numbers that were up 10%, the best performing numbers in 10 years. October numbers have just been released, and I'm pleased to say that we were up 4%. To say that we are thrilled is an understatement. However, the work is not over yet. We want to continue that growth and invite even more visitors to the Annapolis Valley. Our partnership with the Nova Scotia Tourism Agency continues, and with the demise of Destination Southwest Nova Scotia, the Annapolis Valley Chamber of Commerce Tourism Marketing Committee has been asked by the Nova Scotia Tourism Agency to proof the information for the annual visitors guides, and we will be working with Metro Publishing on information for the regional guide for the Annapolis Valley and the Bay of Fundy. We have had meetings with Destination Halifax as our attempt to use their audience reach to profile the Annapolis Valley to potential and actual visitors both in the group tour and pre- and post-convention market. In order to keep the momentum, we cannot stop now. However, we need the funding to do so. Therefore, we are asking the County of Digby for $7,500 towards the 2015 Annapolis Valley Chamber of Commerce Tourism Marketing Plan. This funding will help us to develop a new regional map, an interactive smartphone app, as well as continue our multimedia campaign to the Maritimes. And I would like to end my section by showing the 2 of the 4 commercials that ran this summer on CTV in the Maritime region. And then Loretta will give a brief outline of our budget for this year.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to talk to you about what we're going to do in 2015. And obviously, this is a good way to start. We will continue with our work with CTV so that we can touch every corner of the Maritimes and get the message out that the Annapolis Valley from Digby to Windsor is the place to come, is the place to spend time, and is the place to explore. So that being said, the largest portion of our budget for 2015 has been allocated for TV advertising. We hope to begin our campaign earlier this year, as in the 3rd week in May, continuing to nearly the end of August with a little break, and then start up again early September on into the 12th of October. So very similar pattern to what we did last year, but with an earlier start. We would like to produce one new commercial for 2015, which will focus on the outdoors and the outdoor experience, being hiking, biking, camping, that whole aspect of the outdoors we'd like to feature. We will recycle the TV commercials that we had produced last year for this year, in addition to the new one that we produced. We will also continue with our web campaign with CTV as well, and we will also look at our campaign with C100 again. That would roll in June and continue to almost the end of August with C100, where we are not only advertising, but we are contesting to bring an awareness of the Annapolis Valley to people in Metro Halifax. We have budgeted $88,000 for the TV campaign for this year, $2,500 for the web campaign with CTV, and another $10,000 for the campaign with C100 in Halifax. Heather spoke as well about a map and an application for your smartphone with that map. That is one of the items we had wanted to cover last year, but because of funding shortfalls, we could not. We have put it back on the budget for this year, and the cost of that will run about $37,000. We will also be taking out a 4-page spread this year in the non-board Nova Star magazine. Last year we had 2 pages. This year we're going to 4 so that we can feature 1 page on Digby, 1 page on Annapolis Royal, 1 page on the eastern end of the valley, and 1 page for the Windsor-Avon region. The total cost of that is projected at $11,790. We are currently in talks with Saltscapes Magazine. This is a bi-monthly publication, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. We are in negotiations with Saltscapes for a feature article on the Annapolis Valley, which would be a 4 to 5 page article. In the May, June, or July, August editions, it's important to note we have not finalized that, nor have we confirmed that. We're still in the process of negotiation. We are looking at costs of $20,800 in order to be able to produce that 4 to 5 page feature on the Annapolis Valley. And again, that will reach the Atlantic provinces, which coincides with that maritime reach that we are attempting to make. We will also feature, as we did last year in the Chronicle Herald, we had a 2-page spread in the Chronicle Herald, and in that 2-page spread on June the 13th, we had a half a page for Digby, a half a page for Annapolis, a half a page for the eastern end of the valley, and a half a page for the Avon-Windsor area. And that was a 4-page color spread. That was a 2-page color spread with four different photographs from each of the 4 different regions. It was called All in a Day's Drive, and we will again attempt to feature and commit to that as well. That is a cost of $4,500 to be able to do that. In addition to what I've just mentioned, we do have the monthly expense of keeping up our website, valleytourism.ca, and that is a cost of $1,200 a year for us to keep information on that website, keep it fresh, keep the potential visitor informed of what's happening between Digby and Windsor, and all of those things that make people think twice, geez, I should be coming, I should be spending time there, I should bring my family. That's what we're attempting to do with valleytourism.ca. And of course, it is the call to action in our visual advertising. We are participating in Saltscape's trade show again this year. We have already secured our booth space. So now we are open to inviting partners to come in with us. Heather is in charge of the project, as she has been the last 2 years. We sell time slots so that you don't have to pay for a full booth, but you can buy a time slot if it's much more economical to do it that way. So that is well into the works for this year. And we have allocated a small amount of money for product development that will only be capitalized, that will only be used, that will only be committed if we reach our entire budget goal so that we do not have to forfeit any of the advertising. If I could leave you with just one thought today, we have a lot of product from Digby right on through to Windsor. We have to get the word out on the street. We can continue to develop, but we cannot forget the importance of getting that word out. It is a global marketplace. It is very competitive, and we have to tell the world what we have here. So I will leave you with that thought, but that is what we are intending for 2015.
We are open to questions if anyone has any questions.
David?
How much have you guys been talking to Data?
We have met with Data a couple of times in the past year. We have nothing firm in place with them, but
Any advice they give that you guys taken or anything like that?
We haven't really gotten to any planning sessions like that, but we're certainly willing to go there.
Okay. Once again, this is similar to what I said last time. Like as a crow flies, Bridgewater is as close to the Annapolis Valley as the Digby Neck or Briar Island. It's quite a long distance, and I had quite a few people say to me on the island, "Hey, did you know that they're showing pictures of the island to get people to go to Annapolis Valley? Is there any way we could have on the bottom Digby Neck Islands, or instead of just being Annapolis Valley, it could be Bay of Fundy, Annapolis Valley, so it doesn't exclude all those areas outside of the actual Annapolis Valley?"
Well, we would like to think that we could include Digby Neck and the islands in the Annapolis Valley because the Bay of Fundy is really capitalized through New Brunswick. They really do a good job of promoting Bay of Fundy.
Yeah, it's a big draw. Why not try to capitalize on something that's already advertised heavily that you don't have to go to New Brunswick? Here it is right there. Why not take advantage of, the synergy, to use a word I hate, where they're already spending a fortune on it. And for Digby County, pretty much the whole thing is the Bay of Fundy for a very large portion, I think is fair to say. Like, for example, Briar Island, the tourists come down, they stay in Digby, they eat in Digby. It has nothing conceptually to do, from our point of view, with Annapolis Valley, except that there's ads for Annapolis Valley that uses the images of the islands. I would like to see something that recognizes that this is where it's being taken. This is Tiverton. This is Digby Neck. This is the Bay of Fundy. Like when I look at those there, almost every single picture you had, every scene was the Bay of Fundy, but you don't want to say the word Bay of Fundy. I just have a really hard time grasping that. When I look at the images, every scene's Bay of Fundy, Bay of Fundy, Bay of Fundy that I see in the background.
And I agree with you on that. However, if you look at the marketing that New Brunswick has done, that's all they have is the Bay of Fundy. So if you put Bay of Fundy on that, people are going to New Brunswick. They're not coming to Nova Scotia.
People from outside of Nova Scotia.
People from outside of Nova Scotia do not realize that we live on the Bay of Fundy as well. And because
So we should just give that right over to them?
No, not at all. We have it here. We bring them here, we show them what we have once we get them here. But to put the Bay of Fundy, you're dragging people to New Brunswick because when they go online and look up Bay of Fundy, and you can actually do this on the internet, look up Bay of Fundy, and it will come up as New Brunswick. It will not come up as Digby.
You can pay money to torque those results quite easily, so that Bay of Fundy, Nova Scotia could come up even above it if you want.
We didn't put that in our budget.
We don't have that.
Well, you don't need a huge amount. It's actually negligible.
I'm not saying that what you're saying is absolutely right. We do live on the Bay of Fundy. However, if we put that in our marketing campaign, I think you'll see that New Brunswick would have an issue with that as well because that's all they have.
Okay, David, thank you for a moment.
Might have some more.
Deputy Warden?
I just want to say I think that the ads that you ran last year, they're very, very well done. I like the one that you had for the Digby Neck area and the one for the Annapolis Valley, and you highlighted the Annapolis Royal Well. And I'm impressed that you're going to look at the ecotourism for this year because I think that's a key piece for this region. Well, the whole valley, but down this way. And we have the Tobiatic and the Kedji not very far from here, and it's part of the municipality as well. So it's important that that's the next step also. And we get more and more tourists every year coming here for the trails and the bird watching and the nature part of it. It's the Bay of Fundy is very important. It's the number one piece, but I think the other piece is is right up there too. So I was quite happy with your presentation and what you say you're expending your monies on too. It looks like you're trying to capture the market, and like going into Halifax is crucial because that's where most of the tourists for this region come from. Thank you.
Thank you. We are involved. We're also involved through, I sit on the Destination Trails Committee that is developing the trail between Grand Prairie and Annapolis Royal with hopes that, someday it's going to go Yarmouth through to Halifax and so on. So we understand how important that tourism, experiential tourism, is really what people are looking for, and outdoor active living. So we understand that, and we certainly are veering in that direction as well.
Yeah. Also, this region is also, as well as with Annapolis County and Yarmouth County, we're part of the UNESCO biosphere.
Yes.
So.
Okay, George?
Nice to see all the advertising in the paper, Saltscape, Starboard. Is there any chance of us to have a look at what is planned, or is there anything started as far as you said the hot page for Digby and
We're going to continue our image that we started last year. Just like the commercials, we have a lot of visual and very little text. And that's how we will continue our print advertising as well. So it will be representative of each of our areas and very little text in them as well. So,
is there any chance to have a look at, see what's planned, what you have laid out? Or?
We don't have anything planned right now. So,
Any
but
ideas when that would be? Or?
no. Well, On Star is April.
The Nova Star will be coming up the end of this week. There will be very short turnaround. So if we put the word out, it means usually a 24-hour turnaround time that we have to have feedback. But more than willing, absolutely.
And if
myself, I would like to be able to see something and say,
Sure.
yeah, that's great for Digby area.
Yep.
Before I
But
commit any money to it. Or
Please bear in mind that when we go to these, when we go to this type of print advertising, for example, and TV is even worse. We had a heck of a time pulling together what we did last year for television because there's not a lot of available footage in the high resolution that television requires. So, and when we go to this type of advertising in this type of magazine, you have to have very high resolution graphics to work with. So we have been extremely limited. Now we know the NSTA have a little bit more, and we put the pressure on them to put them in their library that would give us access to that information, but that did not get done until this past
just
fall.
this winter, yeah.
Yeah, just recently. So it's been like a 10, 11 month process waiting for them to get the raw material from their agency, catalog and download it such that people like us can access it.
If you have something in mind, we're certainly open
Absolutely.
to suggestions as
I
to.
don't have anything specifically in mind. I was just
Yeah.
wondering what the
But if
layout
anyone
would look
does,
like,
then
so
yep.
we could say, yeah, that's pleasing.
sure.
That's what we would like to see.
Yep.
Maritza, do you have any comments or questions? My comments are, first of all, I appreciate you coming. I think you've done a great job. But I don't see anything about wineries. We have wineries in our area. We have wine producers sitting right there.
One of the other commercials is totally wineries throughout the valley.
We only
So
showed 2 commercials at each
Yes, one of them
presentation,
is-
but there are 4 commercials and 1 is winery.
I can
Okay,
send it.
I
can
don't
send
know.
it to
I don't
Pat.
remember seeing wineries. I've seen wineries for New Brunswick, but I don't remember ours.
Yeah, we have
I'm not
one-
going to say it wasn't there.
No, we have one that's totally on wineries. Actually, it was the first one that we did.
Oh, okay. Because I know there is wineries your way. There's
Yeah. And that's what we're thinking, like, when we think of a wine event that may be held in the fall, we would like to think that it would be something that could be carried through from one end of the valley to the other. so that there are different things going on at different wineries or craft breweries, which are burgeoning now. So, different things like that we can certainly add to the mix. This year, the NSTA has declared the year of culinary. So if we can match the wine and culinary and some of that within our images as well. So.
Now, David?
Yeah, just a couple of those. I just want to revisit not saying Bay of Fundy. It's worldwide fame. I'd say 95% of the people that come to Digby
David?
County are looking for the Bay of Fundy. And also considering about 70%, I think it's around the number of our tourism comes within province. So I just don't get the conceptual reasoning behind excluding the
David?
main thing that we're doing here.
David, they have answered that question. I don't mean to be rude, and I understand because you are very passionate, and it's the
It's
way it
just
should,
stunning.
and it should be. You should be passionate, but they've answered the question. They're not going to change, what they're doing, and they've explained why. So unless you have any other type of question, I'm going to say thank you very much. So do you have another question?
No.
Okay, I do appreciate and I do understand where you're coming from because, yes, I think of Nova Scotia as the Bay of Fundy. I don't think of New Brunswick, but I'm a Nova Scotian.
That's right. We do. We think of the Bay of Fundy, and we think of it as ours. But
But
New Brunswick
I can
is
tell you,
totally.
if you are into the Boston area, the Bay of Fundy means New Brunswick to them.
Yeah, exactly.
It really does. I couldn't get over it. I said, no, it's us,
Yeah,
not New Brunswick. They don't have nothing.
yeah. We have a gal that works with us she's from Newfoundland, and she worked with the Department of Tourism in Newfoundland for many years. And when we talk about the Bay of Fundy, she said, I instantly think of New Brunswick because they've done such a great job marketing it.
And they have.
Yeah.
They are way over us.
Yeah.
But I think there's got to be a way eventually for us to get into there. I think it's going to take time, but I think, bits
That's
and
right.
pieces. And maybe with some of your visual, like on your text, you said limited text, but maybe it could say Digby Neck and Islands, or maybe it could say
Absolutely.
New France, Weymouth.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you write a lot,
Yep.
but give the area of where, if you can,
Absolutely.
on your visuals.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, we want to direct people to the right place, so we absolutely would do that.
I really appreciate.
I would hope you would talk to Data and take some of their advice, at least that much.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
take their advice, actually listen to what they have to say. There's been a long-established tourism community around here that's focused around very specific things, and you're not speaking to it other than to say that there's whale watching in Kenton.
But you have to understand that the Nova Scotia Tourism Agency promotes the province. We are promoting a region, the Annapolis Valley, and then there are groups like Data who promote the smaller local area. So
there's
we
no contribution to make?
no, I'm not saying that at all. Everybody has a contribution to make right up the ladder. We've made contributions to the NSTA, read the province. So it has to be a partnership on all levels, but there's always going to be those levels because the province can't do it for everyone. The province doesn't have enough money to promote the province, let alone every area in the province.
Yes, just my own background, my family's been in the tourist business for about 30 years, focused heavily in Boston actually on the Bay of Fundy and had good success, of course, until 9/11 when everything changed. I think you're making a big mistake.
George, do you have a card that you could give them where you're part of Data, just so that you could reach them?
We're in contact with Tuska quite
Okay,
a bit.
I just
Yep.
wanted to make sure where
Yep.
George is our member on that.
Yeah, we met with Data here, actually. George was here.
Oh, okay, great.
Just, I want to mention before we close, one thing we didn't say or reveal with you is that our buy-in to CTV this year gave us 4 opportunities to bring CTV out live to the areas. And we brought a CTV crew down here at the end of August. I worked with your mom, your brother, and his wife, and we all were part of that. and we took them out to Briar Island, and we had a fantastic day while watching. So impressed were the crew with CTV on the Friday after they aired the whole segment, which I believe was on Wednesday, of Briar Island and Digby, and did a clip for the Wharf Rat Rally. They went back, and the last 6 minutes of the show on Friday was all dedicated to Briar Island and the whales. And it was, if you haven't seen it, you can certainly email it to you. It's absolutely spectacular. So, and they actually brought it up again on December the 24th and played another clips from that again. So you got some really great exposure out of that.
Thank you. Did you have anything else to?
Unless there's any more questions,
I really appreciate your time. I know you have a long drive back.
Me too.
I'm glad it's today
Gonna get ahead of
instead
the
of
snow.
tomorrow. But again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank
We
you
do
very much.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
The next is the approval of the minutes, council minutes of November 24th, 2014.
I'll move the minutes.
Is there a seconder? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Special council minutes, December 15th, 2014.
I'll move the December 15th special council minutes.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Is there any old business or business arising from those minutes? Councilor Manzer?
No.
Councilor Tudor?
No.
Councilor Adams?
No.
Deputy Warden McAlpine?
I have one, but I'm not going to bring it up.
Oh.
No, my crosswalk light.
Oh. Okay. Under new business, we have the Southwest African Heritage Month Dance and Gala, or Dinner and Dance Gala, sorry.
I move that we participate in this event again.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Those are attending, can we tell who? Okay, so we'll be Pat.
So we're looking at purchasing a table?
Yes.
Okay.
What
As
are
we've
those
done
like? Is
tonight.
there a lot of people that go to them? I've never attended. It's always intriguing.
You and Heidi went one year.
No, we didn't. Not to this.
Usually, well,
4 years ago.
Definitely not.
You
no.
didn't?
Nope. I
Oh,
might have
okay.
was gonna go, but something came up.
Oh, okay, maybe that's what it was. Anyway, for those that are going to attend, please let Pat know, and because then it opens up to our staff.
Okay.
Okay. The next is the Nova Scotia Association of Police Governance. There it is.
I read.
Oh, okay, this is me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I had to get back to it. That's why I had to look. Okay, what has happened? The province has said they want to hear from one group over policing. And they are hoping that the RCMP advisory groups will join in with the Nova Scotia Association of Police Governance. Their name has been changed to Police Governance. We had a meeting in Halifax 2 weeks ago, which I attended, which was a lot of RCMP advisory groups there, and we talked. There is going to be more letters coming, but I wanted to send this off. What they're looking at is for us to join, it's $200 this year, and their year runs from now until September. It's not a regular year like ours. But it gives us a voice, and then they want to vote members on to the board as well, so that, you know, we're there. Yes?
So, do they want the police advisory representatives to be basically advisory group to their board, or are they going to give you the same voting rights as a board member
We would have voting rights.
for everything, or just to deal with the governance aspect of
We
the
would
policing?
have voting rights over, like the conference, they will have a lot of RCMP things and they'll have a lot of policing things. There will be an annual meeting, there will be discussions of what our concerns are that are both. And then we have votes, yes, the board members will have votes.
So there's still going to be, there'll still be like two groups, like this group will still exist.
But
as-
there'll be one board. Yeah, each advisory board will still exist.
Okay.
Okay.
So right now, does the police advisory boards in Nova Scotia get together annually?
Yes.
They already
Actually, they get together 3 to 4 times a year.
Okay. And then you have the other group, which is the towns that have their own police forces.
No, those are the ones,
That's this group here.
no, that's the group I'm talking about. As the RCMP, that's one of the biggest problems. We do not meet together. We do not have that opportunity to meet together.
So
And that's what they're trying to do, so that we will all get together as well.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to get in my head that you're not trying to do away with any other any board that exists.
Oh, no.
This is just to try to pull representation from
Yes.
both together as an advisory panel for policing
Right.
in Nova
Yes,
Scotia.
that's exactly right.
Okay.
Sorry, sometimes you have to pull it out of me. So I want to give you a heads up, there will be a letter coming, the cost is $200. I'm hoping that you will look favorably towards it, because I think it's something we should belong to, and I'll be honest, next year it will go to $400, and that's what everybody else pays. The only people that pay $200 normally would be like the town of Annapolis, anybody who has 1,000 people or less, but they wanted to bring us in this year, and it was not a full year, then go from September to September. So I want to, sorry, David.
I just have a question. I was just wondering, I wouldn't mind submitting a letter. I've been thinking a lot about and researching a lot about policing in the areas. I've been beating a couple of horses for the last 6 months. I was just wondering if I could write a letter and, submit it to you guys, your board. Would that be appropriate? And, talk about it, maybe pass it on, some of the thoughts.
Certainly, you can write a letter and give it to me or to Linda, and we will make sure it's at our joint advisory board to discuss it. Certainly.
Yeah, there's just a couple of things, and a lot of it's provincial trends that I've been looking at, and I just wouldn't mind writing it out and maybe see if anyone else thinks of it the same way.
So, certainly. So that's what I wanted to go over there. So that was the heads up on that one under new business. The next is UNESCO, review website documentation for errors or issues. Did anyone find any errors or issues?
No, it was well written.
I thought it was excellent. Should we send them back a note that we did not find anything?
Yeah, if you like to hear positive.
And
Why
yes,
not?
I thought it was very well done. How does council feel? Okay, then we will make sure that's in there. The next is the Association of Sustainable Forestry Sponsorship 2015 Woodland Conferences. My first question is to Linda. Have we ever helped? Because I don't ever remember this.
Yes, I think we have. It was held here in Digby one time, wasn't it?
I thought we did too,
Yeah.
and
Did we help sponsor?
I think so. But I actually feel that we really should. This is an industry in our area no different than tourism or fishery, and I think we need to support it. And it's not a lot of money, so I'd like to make a motion that we contribute $200 to the Woodlands Conference 2015.
And then that gives us free registration for 2 people, right?
I think so.
Yeah, the way I read it,
Sustainable
free
forestry?
registration and a free exhibitor space at each conference, supported for
Right.
100 each. So that's something to look at as well. I know Maritza's very interested in attending.
I am?
I thought you were. I'm sorry, Maritza.
Words in my mouth.
I thought your hand go up.
She seconded the motion.
Oh, I apologize.
That's okay, but I would be interested.
No, I thought you were. I thought you were being excited that you want.
Oh, yes, I'm so excited.
Never mind. Stop picking on me. All right, so you're the seconder to that motion?
Yes.
Okay, let's
I'm
go.
more than happy to go if you want.
Okay, that would be nice. All in
Maritza,
favor?
that's one way to get volunteers, eh, Linda?
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. If there's someone else that really would like to
I
go,
might be interested in.
George,
Depending on
and there's
how-
our 2 free memberships gone. I'm, in a nice way. I mean,
I'll sell mine.
Get a new computer.
so if you two, we know you're attending, we will watch for the advertising or the registration
Yeah,
so we
that's what
can
I was
get you in.
just gonna ask.
I'm sure.
Do you have the date right there for that?
It's March
March.
28th, isn't it? Just a minute.
It's
March
March
7th.
7th. At the Soniaville Legion.
At the Soniaville Legion.
Yes, March 7th, Soniafield Legion. It does not have the time,
No.
just the locations. And I have no idea where the Soniaville Legion. Oh, is that the one
Across
that,
from Frenchie's.
Yeah.
I was going to say, is that the one that the Claire owns?
Yes.
Oh, I know where it is then. That's where they had the party for.
Yes.
Gee, yes, okay. Next is the Chief Administrative Officer's Report. Could we have approval of the November 2014 payables of $425,544.57, please?
So moved.
Is there a seconder?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Can we have approval of the December payables of $439,372.60?
So moved.
Is there a seconder?
Excuse me.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Are there any questions on those? No? Okay. Going on to correspondence was the Municipal Affairs Mark Fury, the new federal gas tax fund. How come we skipped? There's usually more there than that on yours.
My report is separate. The report's separate.
Here.
Yeah, but it's
It's not on the agenda.
It's
It's
not
just
that.
on the agenda of the CAO.
Okay, sorry, going to backtrack. The CAO report, February 2nd, there's a bylaw and policy meeting. February 9th, Committee of the Whole. February 10th, joint meeting with Town of Digby. February 16th is now the holiday. There will be no meeting. February 23rd will be council at 6. March 2nd, 5 o'clock, it looks like we will finally meet with TIR, not February 2nd because they have canceled. And that would be at 5. 6 p.m. would be bylaw and policy if that act goes. That's what it's looking like right now.
Is that March 2nd?
Yes,
At 5?
5 o'clock.
March 2nd.
March 2nd at 5 o'clock, yep. March 9th, Committee of the Whole, why 4:40 and not 4:30?
It's a typo.
Oh, no, I thought there was something David had asked for or something. No offense, David, but I was thinking the ferry.
I wanted a stamp.
No, I really thought you had something special that you would ask. Never mind. 4:30. March 16th, bylaw and policy at 6 p.m. and March 23rd, council at 6 p.m. Then we went into the council action items. Is there any questions on those? On the capital projects? Is there any questions? Just remind you our buses, new buses in service.
Oh, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Last week, I saw one of King's Transit's buses down here. So both of our buses would have been off the road. So
Why?
I don't know why. That's why I'm asking the question. Like, they had one of those old buses that it's got the GM front on it type thing. I can't remember the name of the bus on it, but anyway, that was on Thursday or Friday, I think I saw it. So I don't know. Yeah, it was surprising to me because I figured, you know,
We're not supposed to be using theirs now. We're supposed to use ours.
Right, I know, but did both of our buses break down? That's my question.
Well, it could have been doing servicing on one, on the new one, and then the second one maybe not be ready, but I can find out.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, because when I was down in Weymouth, he told me he had that other bus ready and waiting at all times.
Well,
Well, valuable point. Plus, if weather goes well, I will be up there Wednesday night. So that'd be another question I can ask. The LED lights are starting on February the 1st, and they will not leave until 100% of the fixtures are installed. Can I say, which doesn't sound, but please God, let it happen. Airport paving is completed. Smiths Cove pumping stations, minor maintenance was all that was needed. Weymouth pumping station, none needed to date. Digby pumping stations, none needed to date. Bear River pumping stations, none needed to date. Your Confet project, electric generators, actual cost to date was $594,430. Martin Machinery has commissioned the generator and it's received CSA approval. Nova Scotia Power connected our high side voltage. Along with installing a meter, we are achieving maximal output at 300 kilowatts at methane levels of 72%, which is exceptional according to the Martin Machinery technicians. Nova Scotia Power inspectors indicate the meter is showing the unit is working at 99.6 efficiency. I'm very pleased with that. We're still working towards that youth engagement we'll be discussing. The welcoming committee is being done on your shared services. Parks and open spaces that spaces is been working on. That report to be presented on February 9th by, I believe, George.
By the consultant.
And,
The committee's come over there.
yeah, I was going to say, but George and
Yeah.
Jeff and Bob and the consultants.
Yeah.
Yes. I just picked George up first because he was easiest to look at. And then, of course, our electric car charging stations, we're still looking at those. He's looking at the 3 sites. Any other questions on that report?
Just comment, just really happy about the Compet project, cluster generator. That's something, yeah, very good news.
Very good.
Now we can just find somewhere to fluent, be laughing.
Oh, we'll do it. We'll do it.
Tank behind our houses. Each of us get one tank.
Now, the next is correspondence, which I was jumping over. And we had the letter from Mark Fury, as you saw. The next was the...
Just in regards to the letter from Mark Fiore, that's no big change or anything or unexpected?
No, it's...
No, it's just telling us we're getting
Just-
money of
Okay,
legal
just
payments.
typical.
Sorry, Linda.
It's in line with what we've received.
Okay,
in the
just
past.
checking.
I believe it's going to be $5 million this year.
I wish.
Oh, you
sling-
didn't hear about it?
I'll get that slingshot that can shoot us from East Ferry to Tiverton finally.
No, we're going to put a bridge in. We're going to put a bridge
Not a
in.
bridge, slingshot in a pool. Land it.
The next is the Huntington Society of Canada newsletter, and then the TIR Minister McCullen regarding twinning of Trans-Canada Highway. Any questions or concerns over correspondence? Okay. Next is the standing committees of council recommendations, bylaw and policy recommendations.
Excuse me.
Could I have someone move about the amendments to the long service award policy be approved?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. That the recommendation to have the RCMP complement servicing the municipality of Digby be reviewed by the Department of Justice be approved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. That the recommendation to change the name of Digby Clare Energy Authority to the Digby Clare Energy Enterprise be approved.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. That the recommendation to appoint Warden Gregory and Deputy Warden Jimmy McAlpine to sit on an inaugural board of directors be approved.
I think you should also mention maybe Digby Clare Energy Authority on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What board it doesn't
Yeah.
say.
Oh, yes, to the Digby Clare Energy Enterprise.
So moved.
Enterprise.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. That the funding formula of 40-40-20 Digby Clare Digby be approved for the Digby Clare Energy Enterprise.
So moved.
So seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. The next is Committee of the Whole recommendations. There was none. Advisory Committees reports updates. Digby Source Water Protection Advisory, Councillor Adams.
We had a meeting this last week on the 22nd. Well, we talked about, well, we had a map, which the Deputy CAO helped CAO there put together a large version of the small map that we looked at,
Okay.
and it was very well done. And he presented to the committee the ideas of the different lines and how they were going to shrink a little. We were pleased to have Tom sitting on our committee, and Jeff, was there anything else that he?
No, I think that was it. Tom
Yeah,
just took the chance to make sure with that group, the messages he was relaying were accurate. It was good
Yeah.
sharing of information.
Yeah, and the
Oh,
lady
great.
from Environment was very pleased that we were proceeding with this.
And we got her name right this time?
Yes.
I'm
run
just,
it. I didn't run it.
because I still want to call her the wrong names. Thank you. So
Ron, her name is.
that's why I'm not saying the name.
No.
Thank you. Heritage Advisory Committee, Councillor Adams and Tudor.
Meeting on Wednesday.
We had a meeting on, let's see. Yeah, okay. There's one on Tuesday, yeah. But we had a meeting with the Provincial Heritage Committee because we are hosting the Provincial Heritage Conference in October. And so we had Kevin from Halifax, he was there by teleconferencing. And then the 2 or 3 of the other committee members that are organizing it. So
I'm actually very excited. I plan on attending.
yeah, we did a lot of discussion around the theme and some of the tours and the speakers, and I think we had a really, really helpful meeting, and we're going to go away, and Rob is going to put it all together and then send it out to us again and look at the ideas. But yeah, I think it's going to be very, very good so far.
David?
I'm on the committee as well. I'd just like to point out that Rob put on a function here with the province, extremely well attended, and it was quite exciting. I have a couple of those government programs that they were discussing at that function. Got my sights set on them. Very happy with the whole how it was organized and the information that was imparted. And also thought it was quite exciting how they purposely came down here, because this is an area that's typically represented as far as grants, and these programs are so that's a real green light, and I think it's, it would behoove us all to stick our thumbs in some of those pies.
Very good. Thank you.
And you attended as well at noon, did you not?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. I was at the end. Next is the Planning Advisory Committee, Warden Gregory, Councillor Adams, and Tudor. You have the November 2013 minutes, the November 2014 minutes. That doesn't make sense.
It wasn't.
We went a year.
Yeah, we hadn't.
Yeah, yeah.
It was
hadn't had
a
a-
year.
Oh,
I don't know whether
Shouldn't
the
be 14,
November
15.
13 were not approved at the November 2014 meeting? Staff? I don't know.
Wouldn't it be 14
We had
and
met in the
15?
spring.
'Cause
I
we
thought
just
we
had
met-
one. Well, one we just had was
But you're not a-
2015.
Yeah,
But
we
that
haven't
was
got that
minute
out.
form.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
The
right.
last meeting you had, then that the committee
Okay.
approved the minutes would have
course.
been November 2014.
That's right. I was like David, I was thinking 15. We met with Chris, and we have started looking at the watershed area for protection of the town's water supply. We have Tom Ossinger, the town CAO, sitting in on the committee so that he can go back to the Digby Water Source Protection Advisory and the Water Commission to keep up what's going on here. It's going to take a while, but I think taking steps bit by bit, going by the reports that were shown us, because what our concern is, of course, is the protection of that water. And yes, there's going to be things in place that are still there that are not going to be suddenly changed. For example, you can't have a dry cleaner out in that area because those fluents would destroy the water, as they've done in other areas in this province. They have to have the ratio of so much farm animals to the things. We have a golf course close by, and they're using what they're using so it doesn't hurt the water supply. This has been in effect, and it's just a time to update and review, and it's a good thing that we're doing it. I think we were given homework this time to go over so many pages so that we're prepared for the next. And I can tell you, everyone has, last time has done their homework, and I'm sure the only one who may not do their homework this time is going away. So I
She'll
won't,
read it for fun on the
I
beach.
won't say that she won, but I'm just wondering.
I'd like to mention that it's a very well-prepared committee that's very careful, which I think is it's a very good fit for the decision it's making.
Thank you. Next is the Joint RCMP Advisory Board. Warden Gregory, Councillor Adams. September 2014 minutes. The Digby RCMP year-end review of 2014 is there. We had an excellent meeting. We went through the report that was presented by Staff Sergeant Rocky Calhoun. For a minute, my brain was going back in time. With that, he is doing an excellent job of keeping us informed in what's going on with this report. It's not just a bunch of figures, and we are looking at, again, doing our yearly meet with the RCMP in our districts and other things that you want to bring up forward. And of course, Rocky would like to make sure he knows of those dates, so if it isn't him, it's another staff member that attends. Hopefully, we'll do a little bit better advertising and maybe get more people out. And we're looking at it, when the warmer weather hits. Wasn't it April, May? Didn't we were looking at, that area. And so that's 5 meetings that they will attend. Any questions on the joint meeting?
The joint RCMP.
Just so we all know that the review is being looked at, but for the RCMP is being done not only by us, but by the town and by Claire.
I'd like to see, I was paying attention to the demographic trends, in particular, and the overall crime drop and maybe reallocation of resources.
Well,
Any discussion?
that's why the RCMP, we've asked them to look at allocations and,
and I found, I really like the article in the Courier. There was the interview with Rocky, who's shaping up to be an exceptional public servant, in my opinion. And his talk about how crime was going down and mental illness was just something I think is particularly important and might be very useful for the whole province for rural areas, because pretty much everywhere, a lot of the rural municipalities are almost on identical boat as we are, as far as demographic changes, population drops, less people between 16 and 26 committing crimes, and et cetera.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no further questions, the REMO Advisory Committee, Warden Gregory, Deputy Warden McAlpine.
We met on January the 20th, and basically the gist of the meeting was under new business. We talked about the community-wide response and recovery to the event of the post-tropical storm Arthur last July, and follow up from that is that Red Cross and their involvement is going to be at a level of 25 people or 10 apartment units before they would get involved in a situation. And people are asked to try to, take care of themselves the best they can anyways for 72 hours, during a storm or a crisis. There are going to be situations when, they're going to have help right away, but for the most part, we've got to try to get people to be able to, take care of themselves for 72 hours. So I think we're going to have to do some communications on that through our Coastline newsletter and continue to do that, because it's an issue. Sometimes as soon as the power goes off, people start making phone calls, and they've got to be able to, take care of themselves for a bit. One thing what we're going to do, though, is Don LeBlanc, our coordinator, is going to be writing a letter, because a few items that came up from our discussions from that storm where there's deficiencies in the area. One is communications with Nova Scotia Power. That's got to be greatly improved. Don was having difficulties even contacting NSPI representatives in communication.
Really?
Yes.
After last year?
Another item was like tree cutting, and the warden was at a conference where they talked about tree cutting, but it was identified that at the last storm, some places where they're doing clear cutting, they're only allowed to cut so close to a power line, and then they're not allowed to cut closer because of the equipment. And that can also cause issues, because if you leave a little bit of trees there, they're going to blow over. So they've got to address those issues. And the third one was, and this it's raised its head a couple of times during storms, the lack of the ability to get fuel for generators and for personal use, and for emergency vehicles. So right now, it's very difficult. You just can't plug a generator into a gas station and expect the gas pump to come on. The technology they use today, they're using computerized heads in these pumps, and the proper way to do it would be to hardwire a generator into the building. But there's no incentive there for the private sector to do that. So we're going to ask the province if they could look at potentially having an incentive program where, whether it would be a tax rebate or somehow that they could compensate people that have these businesses that could, that would put this equipment in place. Because if we had more fuel supplies available, it would lessen the burden greatly. Because I know the last storm, people were driving all the way to Annapolis and all the way to Weymouth to buy fuel, and just to keep their generators going. Also, from the meeting, we discussed the outcomes of the Wharf Rat Rally in 2014, and the RCMP had no issues. Everything went well. Our coordinator attended EMO EPI course in Wolfville. They discussed social media and its increasing importance with the EM activities. He also attended an EMO executive meeting in Truro, and they talked about self-identification of vulnerable people, families encouraged. Like, try to get people to identify that they have a need. Like, for example, if you're on oxygen, it'd be nice to know where those people live, if they, and so that they're the ones that they're going to try to get to first. So it could be maybe trying to get the power back on in an area first for somebody when there's a great need, especially for oxygen use.
Oh, sorry, David.
I just, I saw that about the Nova Scotia priority for vulnerable people. Is there any sort of, there's no list like that in place now for the area? Like, for example, I'm thinking Islands Manor. If it's something is that something that you guys could do through REMO? Or is that something maybe each of our
You
councillors?
self-identify to Nova Scotia Power.
You have to self-identify.
You have to,
Yeah,
we're not allowed
self-identify.
to do it for you. It's a self, so that, people self-identify, so that means they have a reason why they need to get a plow out there quicker and for,
So I guess I would go to the Island Manor and ask somebody to call this number, or do you know about this?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'll do
And
that.
that's going to be coming up in the coastline.
Okay, all right. I'll just make sure somebody
Yep,
actually makes the call.
yep, and that's what it should be.
Also, Joanne attended EMO Red Cross conference in Dartmouth in November. And we've got TMR2 radios now, and they transitioned from the TMR1s. So the radios were exchanged, and each unit has 4 portable TMR2 radios. We've got increased coverage because of that. It doesn't cover the whole municipality.
And it doesn't work in Logan.
That's why I wanted to say that. It doesn't cover the whole area, but it's an improvement to what we had. Still doesn't answer all the questions.
Who has those radios, the fire department?
Yes.
Well, I think we have a radio at the airport, do we not? Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have multiple radios at the airport and the province has renewed all of them for the fire departments at no cost. This is a replacement, because we need to replace the TMR ones with the.
So that's the report that I'm going to give.
I'm just going to go on a little bit from Jimmy, that the Nova Scotia Power put out
Document?
a letter today, a news release. And it just says, Nova Scotia Power is preparing for severe storm that is expected to bring heavy snowfall and high winds to Nova Scotia overnight and through Tuesday. And it's encouraging customers to be prepared as well. Outages will be caused by snow and ice buildup on electrical equipment and high winds causing trees or branches to fall onto power lines. In preparation for the storm, Nova Scotia Power has a full complement of crews as well as additional contact crews on standby across the province. They will be ready to respond as needed to restore power to our customers safely and as quickly as possible. Then he goes over some storm preparation tips, to have. Power may be off at least, if it's possible, be off to Wednesday or longer, it says. And it's giving out Nova Scotia Power.ca outages, and there's, of course, a 1-800 number to call, 1-877-428-6004. So that did come out. And we've been getting our REMO announcements of the weather advisory.
I put those on
No.
Facebook. You're
No.
not allowed to do that.
No,
Really? Because
No.
I'm not sure about that.
no, it's only for us.
But wouldn't you want the best information going to, the
They
people that are
they
getting
send
the storm?
out to the people what they want, what they feel is best.
Is there any way you can double check that? Would you mind just double
Yeah,
checking
we can
that
double
email?
check it.
Just double check it if you wouldn't mind. I'm
Yeah,
not saying
we can.
that- yeah, just curious.
Because, see, it gets spread out to counselors, what never used to even go to you guys.
I love
Yeah.
them, and I know a lot of
But we-
people would.
Linda will
Love
check
them.
that out, but as far as we know, they're not,
Okay, just
they're not public review.
curious.
Okay. Western Regional Housing Authority, Richard Fitzgerald, no report as of this month, but I don't think it's through, one term is in yet.
I've been trying to get a report from him.
Oh,
I'll continue to, it is overdue.
okay. Regional Joint Meetings, Committees, Reports, and Updates. Age-Friendly Community Planning Committee, Councillor Adams.
We met on the 14th of January. I thought we were going to have the final draft, but not yet.
Pardon?
I haven't seen it. I know changes are being made and tweaked, so.
We had a lot of discussion around the draft and revising it and things like that. So probably next council, I would think.
We were
perhaps.
hoping, we had to, the request from Jacqueline was to send it into her too. She
Yeah.
wanted to have a review of it, so perhaps Kara's waiting till we get her comments before we forward it to the committee.
Yep.
Next is the Bay of Fundy Marine Transportation Association. It was funny, we were getting a letter ready to ask about the naming of the ferry, and then we had the Greg Kerr called the news for a public announcement, and that's what it was for. So it worked out rather well. So naming of the ferry. But if you have a name you're interested in, you can go online, or you can go down to the ferry terminal and put it in. They want it. It has to. There's criteria to it, like it has to be an easy, pronounceable, spellable word or name. It should reflect something of Nova Scotia, Bay of Fundy, historical possibly. So anyway, if anyone has any, I personally was thinking Prince George.
Slocum. First man to circumnavigate the world alone, one of the great heroes of sailing, right
Well,
there.
that's where you go to there and put it in. 'Cause I'm not going to put your thoughts in. I'll
Sure
put
you
mine in. You have to put yours in.
I'll write you an angry letter and demand that you do.
Yeah, that's very nice. There is no prize for this. It's just that you had the ability. Yeah, which would be nice. We are also trying to set up a meeting to talk about the size of the commercial vehicles that will be on the ferry and that type of thing. So that's meeting hopefully will be coming up in the next month or so. So that's as far as we are with that. The next is Digby and Area Affordable and Supportive Housing Group, Counselor Tudor. The ADSOM cost and benefit analysis, the action plan collaboration, the action plan information, action plan infrastructure, action plan rules and regulations.
I was only able to pop in for a minute. The girls had a doctor's appointment at the same time that me and my wife went to. But I popped in. They're rocking along. They're getting good help from the province, the provincial staff member that's there. She's fantastic. Yep, and yeah, I've been talking to them about several things. Nice to see the town there as well.
Okay. Digby Annapolis Development Corporation, Deputy Warden McAlpine, Councillor Tudor.
There hasn't been any meetings since the last council.
Digby Area Learning Association, Councillor Manzer. There's the DCEC November report, the Executive Director's November report, Learning Grove November report, Dalla AGM November 2013 minutes, Executive Director AGM November 2014 minutes, and Dalla October minutes.
Lots going on, a lot of programs going on, and probably more than last year, like overall. Numbers are up at Learning Grove. Their attendance and their things are looking good there. So increased revenue. So overall, things are moving along.
Okay, any questions? Okay. Digby Area Recreation Commission, Warden Gregory, Councillor Manzer. You have your November minutes and December reports, December minutes and January reports, and the AGM January 2014 minutes. Just to let you know, Jean Britton is the chair. I am the vice chair. George is the treasurer. We have put through the different advisory groups, policy hiring, volunteer, and different members are on those committees. And if anyone wants a list, we will make sure you get them. Actually, our ice time is going very well. We're right up to par, which we was concerns that we might not be. They're going full tilt into the 2016 curling championships that are coming. It was actually a very good meeting. We passed our healthy eating policy last week when we were in.
The ACOA thing was the only other big thing.
Yes. We're looking at, well, we are putting in a COA for money for community projects, infrastructure.
The healthy eating policy, I'm sorry. You said you passed it?
Yes.
I think so.
Yes, we do.
For
For dark. For dark.
Is that the same policy as we have?
A little different.
in what
Oh.
way?
That was the same thing.
Well, I thought there was some changes from when I last saw it.
I wouldn't mind having a copy of that, please.
Yep.
Did Kara bring that up?
It was brought up through Bob.
Okay.
It was last month we looked at it and there was some changes that had to be done. And then, yeah, but I will get you a copy of it. Any other questions? We're looking, I will say they're getting ready for different programs, more programs, and they're all coming through very well. Digby Area Tourism Association, Councillor Manzer. We have the December 2014 minutes, the 183 Marketing Initiative November minutes, the 183 Marketing Initiative December minutes.
Yeah, they were quite busy during December, but most of those seem to be on the 183 marketing and initiative for the 183 Blue event. Blue, rose route. They had a meeting last week where they talked about either advertising in the On Board, Golden Magazine, No Star Magazine, or the Saltscapes. And I think they're leaning towards Saltscapes because it's they got more, I guess, knowledge behind putting some of that stuff together than the On Board. I felt it would be more to their benefit to do that. They're also planning on the set up for that, and Rob is, I think, got the lead on that. He's gonna do a mock-up in here somewhere over the next, well, a couple of weeks or whatever before, I think we'll help us to kind of see what it looks like.
So when is that?
I'm not sure, I can't remember the exact date, but probably April.
April, okay.
I think.
No, I was just
Late
being
March,
curious.
April sometime. But that's-
Counselor Tudor?
At the next meeting, would you mind asking Data, because, you know, there was an ask for tourism money. I'd really like to know what Data thinks about the group up in the valley.
Yeah,
And in
okay.
particular, have they taken any input from Data, do they feel? And I
Okay.
think that'll color what I might decide. I'd like to know what they think.
Okay.
If you wouldn't mind. Thanks, George. Councilor Mansfield.
Okay. Digby Development Agency, Warden Gregory, Deputy Warden McAlpine.
The DDA has met since the last council meeting, and I guess from that meeting, the warden and myself and the mayor have been put on a subcommittee to sit down and meet and talk with representatives of the Digby Harbor Port Association to look at, you know, how we can maybe enhance the port and the region for tidal development. So,
Thank you. The Digby Harbor Port Association, you have your November-December managers report, December 2014 minutes. We did not have a meeting in January. We will be having a meeting in February. So that's as far as we've gotten so far. Digby Library Committee, Deputy Warden McAlpine.
there hasn't been a meeting since last council.
Digby Municipal Fire Association, Councilor Manzer.
Yes, with the fire association, maybe we should consider another appointee. There seems to like the third Wednesday of the month, and that's our recreation.
Yes.
meeting. And back in September, they decided, or June meeting, they decided to switch it because I'd asked them because it was a conflict on the third Wednesday, so they did switch it for September. A day or so before the meeting, they canceled it and they rescheduled it. And I never got any notice on when it was going to be rescheduled, so they had one in December, third Wednesday of the month.
Okay.
So, and there's also going to be another probably committee coming up for open spaces, which me and Jeff were part of, so I'm suspecting I'll probably be on that committee. And so Councilor Tudor had offered earlier to maybe take over.
Yes. So my question is, Councilor Tudor, are you interested in the Digby Municipal Fire Association?
So let me guess, you missed the meetings, they didn't let you know?
No, they
No.
let me know. It's the
They're
same
coming-
night as the recreation.
Okay, yeah, I
They
can,
like the third Wednesday.
yeah, I can switch that around.
So,
Digby Municipal Fire Association, if you, yeah, just change it to Tudor.
and it's the
We need a motion for that?
it's the third Wednesday of the month?
Third Wednesday, that's what they've been having. third
Yeah.
Wednesday.
So could we have a motion for
I'll make
the-
a motion that Councillor Tudor is our appointee on the Fire Association.
Would you be able to send me the email?
Is there a seconder?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried.
Thank you. There.
Highway 101 Task Force, Warden Gregory, Councilor Adams, we have not had a meeting.
Are we going to have one?
I would hope so.
We're planning to have a meeting, I think, in March when there's more information coming forward. Right now, there's nothing new, but I know I was speaking with MLA Wilson, and he was going to meet with the engineers, the two planning
And-
engineers, and as soon as there's something available or new to report, we'll set up a
Well,
meeting.
and the other thing we want to do is we want to push about having the overpass or underpass or whatever way you want to call it right there at Middle Cross Road.
Yeah.
Also,
I
the
think
safety
we-
audit should be out soon.
I know they had indicated it would be the end of the year, so
Yeah, December, but it's been put off, so that's something else we should be asking about.
King's Transit Authority, October, November October minutes, November reports, November newsletter. We are having a meeting this month. We did not have one in December. And we will be looking at budget at this time. And so it's going to be an interesting meeting. I will say overall, and you will all be getting the January newsletter, overall 8% increase in ridership from last year. Yeah. So, and those just came out today, so I haven't had depth to go through them. Senior Safety Committee, Councillor Tudor, Deputy Warden McAlpine.
In regards to that, I would like to have is, this was sort of discussed after the meeting, the lack of a device for Dawn in case she gets in some sort of dangerous situation.
And that's already been brought forward.
To what?
How did I get onto it?
That was just a couple days ago.
Yeah,
You were
we
there.
talked about it. Jeff.
Yeah.
I think it was brought up at the BMO meeting.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah, we talked
We
about
have,
it.
Oh.
we have a process in place at the airport for just that within our internal staff, so we've made that available to Dawn and a
When did
member.
this happen?
Last week.
So right after the meeting or right before the meeting?
We had a
After
BMO
your
then
meeting.
it was-
Okay, wow. How's
I was
that?
going to say, I know I'm not crazy, but I already heard about this.
Man, nothing makes me happier than something that I think you might have to do, and they're like, already did it. Oh, wow, good.
It has been done.
Yeah, just wanted to bring that up. I thought it's awfully
And don't
risky.
forget to send us some minutes, please. We haven't seen any.
Oh, sorry, I can forward them right now.
To Pat, please.
Yeah.
I'd like to add to that too,
Yes?
to the report. Under the report, we also were told that Dawn was successful in receiving a $20,000 grant from the Department of Seniors. There was I'm going to give the abbreviations, FSNA donation of $500. It's a Federal Superannuation Association. I don't know.
Yeah.
And Bolivar's Service Center has given in-kind donation of undercoating the vehicle and changing the tires and storing the winter tires. The town had asked through their representatives at the meeting whether it would be possible to put a Digby 125th logo on the car for this year, where it's 125th anniversary. So, and that was approved. And we talked about the upcoming budget for this year, and we really emphasized too that we wanted to make sure there was enough funding in the budget for any training or any courses that Dawn would like to take. So we wanted to have a special line item for that. And I'd also mention that we should be having a line item to capture some capital costs. Like the car is only going to last so long, so we should start setting aside a little bit of money every year for when the time comes that it's going to have to be replaced. So Matthew Raymond was going to be working on the budget, and actually he emailed it out today. I haven't had time to look at it yet, but it's a draft budget. And because we have to plan, I mean, the car's 2007, so it's getting on. So even though it doesn't have a lot of miles on it, it's going to have to get replaced probably in the next couple of years. So
I'd just like to say that Jimmy had a lot of good suggestions. I thought it was a really good meeting. Excellent suggestions from Jimmy. Forward thinking. Stuff I wouldn't, just don't necessarily think of.
Anybody else? Okay. Shared Services Committee, Deputy Warden McAlpine, Councillor Tudors, and Adams.
there hasn't been a meeting since last council, and I'm hoping that when we have our joint council meeting with the town of Digby, that we can discuss some of the issues that we've been, the welcoming committee for one, which is going to be it's on the agenda for that meeting on
I
February
won't be
10th.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, Transportation declare, Councillor Manzer.
No meeting since the last council meeting, but there is one for early February.
Okay. Highview Terrace, Councillor Manzer.
Nothing since our last meeting again, and this week's.
Okay. Again, don't forget minutes. Upper Clements Park Society, Councillor Adams, October minutes.
We didn't meet in November or December. We met last week January the 15th. They're moving ahead with, they've applied to ACOA for some funding. They also have got a couple of interesting subcommittees going on. They're looking at a campground plan. They have a campground planning committee, and they're looking at putting up some very basic, what they call dry camping for the first year in the area where the wildlife park was.
Okay.
It's quite a large area in there, and they can expand it, eventually being able to bring the sewer pipes in through there. They're also going, there's an old barn there that the structure is very, very good, and they're going to renovate that and put showers and washrooms in there. So that's good. And they're also looking at a mountain bike steering group. So there's a person in the area who's quite keen about mountain biking, and he's willing to do some work with the committee, and then probably do some teaching. So teaching them how to ride on the, and they've gone to DNR and asked to, I can't remember if they purchased or leased a piece of land that's adjacent and that the old trails were on, so that the mountain bike team can go through on those old trails. It would only just trails, it would just be a matter of cleaning up the trails, so because pretty well everything is there. So it's kind of exciting to see that they're looking at other options. And hopefully they will get the funding from ACOA, because they need to do some infrastructure.
Okay, thank you.
They've got new board members. They've got three new board members, so that's really good. It's in the minutes of the October month. So. Yep.
Waste check, Warden Gregory, Deputy Warden McAlpine. You have your September minutes and November reports. Enforcement officers report August and October. Atlantic Canada Waste Diversion Conference presentation.
At the last waste check meeting, under the business, we talked about video conferencing because we tried to have a board meeting with video conferencing equipment, and the equipment they used in Yarmouth didn't work. So that put a sour taste in some of the board members' mouth they don't want to really pursue that thought, but we're still going to try it. I think it's just a technical issue, and but we had set up so that we would do every other meeting by video conferencing. So hopefully the next time we do it, it works. At that last meeting, there was committee appointments made for various subcommittees that the Waste Check has. And the policy committee did an update on a review of several policies that they had been reviewing. Also in the information that was provided to us, there was a report done on marine waste management ship to shore program, and there was a person going around to the different wharfs, inspecting the wharfs, and also passing out these boat bins, and they were quite popular with the fishermen. They put it right on the boat, so that was good. With the enforcement officer, from this report goes from August 15th to October 31st. He had 39 illegal dumping complaints, which he checked out. 34 site visits. He did 9 transfer station inspections, 5 burning complaints, people burning garbage. And he had 2 visits resulting from repeat curbside bag rejections, despite numerous previous education visits. So the education officer goes out, and then if that person has no success, then the enforcement officer goes. He's had 175 inspections and audits done to date. That was from from April 1st to 2014 to this report date. And so for a total number of residential curbside compliance visits year to date was 257. So I must say that he's probably one of the more effective employees we have at that organization. He does a great job, and we continue to have problems as much as we have places where you can take your garbage. We have curbside collection, and people still dump it in the woods. So it's very disappointing that that's taking place, but you'd be surprised the number of times those people, when they throw their garbage away, they still have identification in the bag. So he's able to contact the person. So that's it for me.
Okay. The next is Western Counties Regional Library Deputy Warden McAlpine.
There hasn't been a board meeting. There's one scheduled for March. We meet only 4 times a year.
Okay. Next is the Western Regional Enterprise Network Advisory Committee, Deputy Warden McAlpine.
There again, there hasn't been a meeting. I'm not sure when we're going to have the next one, but that group there only is going to be meeting about 3 times a year, 3 to 4 times a year. And we're not, like, we don't, it's not like we're the board, we're the oversight committee. So, but that organization, the REN, is up and going. There is an executive director in place. There has been some hiring done. I don't know right now how many people have been hired to date, but I think they've hired at least 2. And their board and their executive director was supposed to be doing a strategic planning session, and I'm not sure if that's taken place yet or not.
I think they've begun. They had the consultants down and actually did a tour of this area and met with Dan Harvey and Terry Thibodeau, I think one day last week.
Okay. Next is the Weymouth Doctor Recruiting Committee, Warden Gregory, Councillor Manzer, and we have not had a meeting. There should be one coming up probably March, April.
You're right, wasn't one scheduled for February?
I think when we had our last meeting, it was determined to wait until after I think there was a dinner that you were meeting some of the grads at Christmas.
Yes.
And then after that, there was going to be a meeting. But I'm not sure. I'll check and see if there was one scheduled.
Because we wanted to send some things to the grads, or to the students, not grads.
Yes, I think
We
Claire
want-
was doing that in February, and we were going to send some things along as well.
No, they did it at Christmas. We were doing it in February for their school break, to help them with their studying. And, okay. The next is council reports. Before we get into council reports, I want to start with, I sent everyone an email last week on the Seafood Culinary Institute in the Digby area. It's a confidential paper. And I asked that we tonight,
The concept paper?
yes, remember it's confidential. We would greatly appreciate a letter from the municipality in Digby in support of the Institute as outlined in the concept paper that was forwarded. They have a meeting coming up with Deputy Minister Bernie Miller in February, so I would like
I move that we write a letter of support.
I'll second it.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Thank you. You've been waiting a long time, haven't you?
Actually, I was here for the first reading, if there are any questions before.
If you wait a few more minutes, then you can ask questions of us. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
At the end, yeah.
How long did you figure until the end?
10
15 minutes. Thank you, David.
That's all right. I always get antsy near the end.
Okay, council reports, and I will leave my vegetation workshop until my report. It was just put there so I didn't forget it. So, we will start with Councillor Tudor.
Dealing with wood, a sort of interesting thing. There's a gentleman who's very strong and young. I have access to a wood lot, so I gave him access to the wood lot in return for him dropping off half the wood that he cut to somebody that isn't young and strong. So I was pleased with that. A lot of cancer issues, a lot of people getting cancer down the islands. I spoke to 5 people just this week. Quite sad. A lot of difficulty with those health issues. A little bit of housing issues. I find we're starting to get complaints about the lack of a chairlift or one of those mini elevators in the island manor.
In the manor. Okay.
And the Legion has a chairlift that they said I could have, but it's a non-commercial, so I just have to kind of figure out if it's usable and if the housing would take it.
But what you can do,
Mhm.
you can ask, wouldn't it be our representative to bring forward that they should be, that the Islands Manor is having a problem and they would
Yeah,
like
there's
to
a
look at a
lady on the second
chairlift?
floor, 86. She's starting to get a little old to negotiate the steps with her groceries and stuff. It's
It would be through the board and to Richard Fitzgerald, who's our representative.
So should I write something to him? My phone's not been working for the last couple of weeks on the islands.
I think we could send a note to Richard Campley or to the board.
Would you mind saying that and saying that I do have a non-commercial stair lift that has been made available for free to me? And I'd be glad to, I might even be able to find somebody that can hook it up.
They would have to do all that. That's
Of
why
course,
they have
insurance.
their own staff.
So maybe what I'll do is I'll get him to give you a call.
Yep. Oh, yes, very much. Thank you. I had that excellent thing here at the municipality in regards to possible heritage grants and programs. There's several groups that I plan on visiting in the next little while in regards to that. Tidville, I got a few calls from Tidville concerned about mainland telecom. There was a rumor going around that they weren't going to do Tidville. Tidville, as you know, is in sort of a low-lying area, but I gave a call, and no, there's no plans to skip them. And I returned those calls too. I told people in Tidville not to worry. A little bit of work on the conversation. Jeff Sunderland had a couple times I've irritated him with telling him things that he already knows, but I'll hold myself off. I'm sure it's going to be fine. What else here? I had a funny one. Elderly lady called me. Her stove wouldn't work. She had a brand new stove and was having great difficulty with it. And I went over and I was able to turn on the stove, and everybody was happy. It all worked out. I always enjoy those odd calls that you get. David, my stove don't work. Can you please come over and figure out the stove? What was happening is when it hit 400 degrees, it cuts out. She thought it just wasn't working because she had an older stove before. She thought it was breaking when it hit 400. Lighthouse is going to hassle Pat about leading the charge on that. A lot of the information is together, and it really has to get going. I talked to a couple other people, like Kendall, for example, and he's like, hey, we were already there, and nobody called me back, but I think I got somebody that will take the lead on it and be able to see it through to fruition, whereas all the other lighthouses have community groups that are looking after them. We have to have a community group if people want to be invested in it, so they have to be invested in it if they want it. Yeah, just talking to the villages in general, but speaking to pretty much all the councilors. They're always telling me this, that, and the other thing. And just a busy, pleasant month.
Okay, George.
I guess we started out in late November. I was a greeter at the Sisterwood Landing for their Festival of Trees one night, and as people came in. The next day we did a pancake breakfast. I helped to work at a pancake breakfast at the historical building, which was free to anybody. Santa was there for the kids. Then we served Christmas dinner at Tyview Terrace to the residents one evening. And then attended the Parade of Lights in Weymouth, served free hot dogs downtown, accepted donations, which we split between the food bank and the Parade of Lights.
Very good.
And January was pretty quiet.
Okay. Councillor Adams.
In December, I attended the Admiral Digby tea, the Christmas tea. And in January, the first, Warren Gregory and I organized the levy here. We had a great turnout, and I think the food and drink and music was very much appreciated. Everybody enjoyed themselves. And we also went over to the town's levy before ours started. I'll let the board talk a little bit about me. I went over to the education workshop put on by NSPI. I had sort of a personal interest in that. It was interesting what came out of it. Already discussed the Provincial Heritage Committee that was here. And this past Friday, I went to the Financial Indicators workshop at the Old Orchard Inn. It was on one before the document becomes public on February 3rd, I believe. It was very good, informative, and that's it for me.
Okay. Deputy Warden.
Highlights of since last council is I've been attending the Jordantown Acaciaville Conway Steering Committee meetings for they want to build a community center. They've hired Mike Cashew and Richard Bridge to work on the business plan, and Harry Jost is the architect that they've hired to do preliminary architectural work. And there's a piece of land that the province owns that they may be receiving as a location for the center. So they continue to work on that. There's another meeting coming up the first part of February, and I think it'll be great for the area if they could get this built. And they're trying to identify just everything that they can put into the building. So, and other than that, I want to also note that this coming Thursday is the launch of the African Heritage Month, and they're having that here at 1 o'clock. And during the last month or so, I've also attended some PVSC board meetings and stuff like that. That's it.
Okay. So with me,
29th.
I'm just going to quickly go over things, but we did Christmas breakfast with Santa, and when I say we, our CAO has come every year, as I have, and we've been going for how many years, Linda?
Quite a few, 4, I think 4 or 5.
So it's interesting. We actually see quite a few of the mayor always comes, and Peter and Danny, and we always tease each other because they make fun of my cooking and I make fun of theirs, so it works out. But no, we seriously have a good time. We're in there before 6 in the morning. We're bushy-tailed and having a lot of fun. It's fun watching the kids with Santa. New Year's levy, I thought was a great success. As usual, Maritza runs it, and I follow behind, and it works very well because I'm happy that way. I also had an interview with AVR, with Dave, on what's happening in the area. So that was the first part of January. I also attended the vegetation management workshop, which was in Truro, and Councillor Adams, I just want to say Maritza, Councillor Adams attended as well. I have the forms on it, but the biggest thing they're concerned about is clearing the corridor where they have a lot of power outages in the valley coming down through to us because the corridor is not wide enough, and the trees that have been left behind because of the rules from the government, well, when it storms, because they've got nothing to hold them, go, go. So they're trying to get it further back, so if it goes gulp, gulp, it misses that, right? It was an excellent meeting, except there wasn't enough time for us to do the discussion that was supposed to be there. I will tell you right now, it was a good discussion, but when they stopped it said, it's over. And we're already a half hour late, and they felt, well, the storm was coming, and anyway, they wanted us out.
Wasn't there going to be another follow-up meeting?
No, that was...
Video conference or teleconference?
No, because this has to go into the government. And so I don't know what all was said at the other tables, but our concern was that it needs to be cut. We felt it should be cut, and the rules all felt that way. I will tell you, Halifax explained how important a tree was, and we didn't seem to understand that trees are needed. And I said, yes, we do know trees are needed, but we also have to be practical. You clear, you don't want power shortages, or outages, I should say, happening when we can fix it. I'm not saying you clear cut everything. I disagree with clear cutting. But, and it wasn't just looking at that. They were looking all over the province, on what can be done better, how far back can things be cut from around the power poles, what the, regulations are, should the regulations be stronger. It was 4.5 hours, and it was very interesting. Like I said, I was very uptight, and I told them this, that we need another hour of talking. So the presentations, to me, should have been shorter, and then let us talk, because everyone was into it. I mean, it was interesting. And I'll tell you, NSPI seemed very concerned over what's happening with the power failures, and they don't want the power failures as well. David, you wanted to ask me a question?
Can I just, before?
Okay.
three things that I was concerned about was downloading some of this to the municipalities. That's what I
Yes.
was afraid of. That's why they were getting us together, to say, oh, by the way, we don't do cutting, but you can do cutting, right? But they didn't, that
For Nova
was
Scotia
okay.
Power.
But
They
it
didn't come up.
happen.
Okay.
And then the other concern I had was perhaps they might want to hire back some, or hire people, because they've cut, and it's the linesmen that they've cut. So they can't do the maintenance. So, for example, when we had a storm last spring or wherever, I called up the line, outage line, and they said, oh, our team is in Shelburne and it's working its way around. One truck, right? So that kind of, what was the other thing?
And when we brought up a boat, so they look at
Oh,
that,
yeah.
they said, you realize we have to make so much money, has to be made to be, that's mandated. So I said, maybe that needs to be
Oh, yeah, the
unmandated, to be
10%
less.
guarantee.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that to be
unbelievable.
less and have people working so that we don't have the shortage.
And you also mentioned to them that they might want to work within a budget like the rest of us do.
Yes, I did comment, did they ever hear of budgets? Because they didn't seem to understand the concept very
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Just what you were saying, what I was going to say is I was surprised that it has to do with the lines, the corridors of trees along the roads. I always assumed that was a PR move so people didn't know how extensive clear cutting was. You know, you'd have
Well, it is,
100
but-
feet of trees and looks like, oh, we have beautiful forests, but
That
on the
is-
other side.
that's a
it's
rule of the
desolate.
government.
Yeah. Pardon?
That's the rule of the government,
Okay.
the clear cut.
I was very surprised, though, that that wasn't, I didn't know it had to do with lines. That's the official.
Well, because of what's happening. And Maritza, I'm sorry.
My other concern was the fact that after they discussed all of this cutting and things like that, we were going to have a rate increase.
Say that
Yeah.
again, the last
A rate, if they were going to do all what they were saying they wanted to do, which was cutting and, cutting the trees and things like that, was there going to be a rate increase? That was my other concern.
Well, the
And they said
alone
that,
is the most
you know,
absurd
they
thing
would
I've ever heard.
probably have to have a rate increase. And I said, no, look in a budget, work around the budget, use what you got. And they said, well, you don't understand. We have a mandate that has to be 10% to the whole.
To the
And I said,
stockholders.
I don't care. Get into a budget and work within your budget.
You would think that basic maintenance in large communities, being without power for days and days, you'd think there would be a financial incentive to cut down a few branches, considering the impact it has.
I mean, they were
You
doing
would
this
think.
to take back to the government what we were thinking, and I thought they did an excellent thing. So that covers that. Then I went to the Nova Scotia Police Governments Association meeting, which I already talked to you about earlier. I also met with Jeff Nickerson and Murray Hill, and we discussed aquaculture in the area and what's happening. There is concerns, and there's a letter coming, and as soon as that letter comes, I will discuss more of what we talked about.
Did you bring up the issue that I was concerned
Yes,
about?
I have, and that is happening
Awesome.
in the spring, and the only reason they didn't do it before was because of the lobstering, and they didn't want to go out and touch anybody's cages or do anything to make anybody's cages upset, because they're going...
The traps, you mean?
Well, to come in and do the barges and to clear out.
There's not a boat, hardly, in the St. Mary's Bay. There's hardly a single boat. They're all out in the Bay of Fundy.
Wow.
And what is the problem is when these things break free. It's not cleaning them out. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Well, okay. I did have a waste check policy meeting, and then I went to the announcement for the Digby, St. John, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick ferry services, and that was the naming contest. I also met with Cindy James at the town hall, who is discussing tidal energy, and they're going to Europe. She's a private entity and doing that. I went over to the Mental Health and Recreation at the curling club on Friday to go to the meeting, and they had canceled it, and nobody had let me know. That's okay. There was a meeting at 1 o'clock at the Digby East Fish and Game, which I gave our regrets, because the Kelly family was doing a benefit for them where they had lost part of their home due to an electrical fire, and it was well attended down in Sandy Cove. From there, we are going to ask questions of the gallery. You're allowed to ask any questions on anything we have discussed or talked about today.
It's not really a question, but if I listened to the Annapolis Valley Market
marketing committee,
Mm-hmm.
and I would be inclined to ask how they're measuring the results of their marketing campaign. Because they mentioned no results, they mentioned no
Percentages.
metrics on how they measure it.
Mhm.
They did mention that we had increased room rates, but that's province-wide, and that's not Annapolis Valley in particular. It was province-wide last year.
Yeah.
So, $7,500 isn't a lot of money, but it's enough that I would want to ask the question, how are they measuring the results? I did see their commercials last year, and I thought they were lovely. But again, if I weren't from here, I would not know what I was looking at. And they didn't have any, limitations on what you were looking at. From the Digby Area Board of Trade point of view, the Annapolis Valley Chamber of Commerce has asked us many times to give us our own Board of Trade and join in with them, which we have declined. We want to remain having our own board. And while we do want to cooperate with other boards and chambers, we have no plan to ever amalgamate. We actually don't endorse regional marketing initiatives either, because we are part of the New Ren, and we're partners with our municipality and our town, and we have a shared vision here, and we feel that we would best represent ourselves if we had our own marketing. So that's our point of view from the board.
Okay. And this is Karen Enright, who is also with her husband Brendan. They are co-owners. You could call yourselves co-owners, or how would you say that for the Annapolis?
Well, actually, we own 25% of the winery now, but we did start the Annapolis business.
Oh, you're not longer?
No, after my accident, I couldn't continue working full-time there at the winery, so we had to sell off the shares.
Oh, I didn't realize. See, I learned something new. She's also vice chair of the Board of Trade, just so everyone knows. Okay.
Your concerns are definitely shared by others. Yeah. I haven't made up my mind yet or anything. I don't think any of us have, but definitely lots to think about with that.
And do you have any questions for her?
Oh, I don't have any questions.
No? Okay. Just double checking.
Thank you for your